TGJO. You know what that stands for?
I want to say, thank God January's over.
Is it because I put it in the show notes?
It is 100% because you put it in the show notes, but I think January spelled wrong. It's highlighted red.
Was it? It was just for me and you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just put you on blast?
That's fine.
That's cool because, I spell things wrong all the time. So whenever I get a chance, it's always like a golden opportunity to correct you on your English because you be correcting me on my English all the time.
Okay. Anywho.
I do feel like I'm so grateful January is over because to me, January felt like half of 2017.
It sure did. It felt very, very, very fucking long.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad things that happened.
Do you want to go over the list of horrible things that happened in January?
No.
Okay.
It was just a long month. It was a long, trying month. It was so long that I actually named the episode, Thank God It's Over.
Yeah, I am very thankful. What did you say? It was like January 72nd?
Yeah, I didn't say, there was like a meme going around that said, today feels like January 74th.
74th just flows so much better.
And I was like, I read it and I was like, it does.
This is true.
It was the 27th, but it really did feel like it was just cold. And plus it was like, I already hate the winter. Like after Christmas, I don't need to see any more snow.
Right.
I'm not a cold weather person. Mm-hmm. I don't like when it's dark most of the day.
Right. I feel like we've been living in like a post-apocalyptic future in a way, where it's not horrible, but it's just like how like whenever they like show the future in films, it always just looks like a little shitty. Mm-hmm. Like I've never seen a super great future. It always looks just like it either looks like right now fancier but shitty, or it looks crazy futuristic and shitty.
Yeah.
Like, it never just looks like right now and amazing. Like, we fucking cured hunger and racism is, like, not alive any longer. It always looks like shit. And I feel like that's what all of, like, January has felt like. It felt like we were living in Gotham. You know how, like, there's never sunshine in Gotham. It's always dark. It's always cold. Some bullshit's always happening. Like, that's what January felt like. And I am extremely happy it's over. Shout out to everyone who had January birthdays. I'm pretty sure you are all loving people in your own way. But for the most part, fuck your birth month.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah. Not a fan of January. Hopefully February is going to be popping because it's Black History Month. I despise Black History Month personally because I feel like we should...
You should all get more than a month, let alone the shortest month.
Yeah, and it's just like, it just seems like when you get a participation star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it seems like, this is really a bad comparison, but have you ever seen like kids in special classes get awards for things that are just like them just showing up?
Yeah. Well, that's like attendance awards.
It feels like an attendance award. However, when you get in high school, an attendance award is kind of a big deal. Because they're like, especially as a senior, like I had perfect attendance in high school. Very few people know that about me. Oh but I actually got an award for that because I'd never played hooky.
Funny story about that. I think Heather listens to this show.
Oh, yeah? Hey, Heather.
I remember her when she was in high school, she would have had a perfect attendance. And she was so embarrassed she didn't want the award. She stayed home a day.
Really?
Yep.
I had perfect attendance for 4 years. Yeah, I didn't even get sick. It was like me and some other kid. He was nerdy as fuck.
It sucks though because girls like get their periods and stuff. So it's like, it's harder to come in every day.
I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying... So sorry for that cough. That gross.
Cough kind of leads us. I think you should start off with one of the reasons why January.
First of all, let's start with this. We now have names for our sections.
Oh yeah, let's toast. Because yes, we are drinking.
All right, so this show is broken down into two sections. Hashtag Married Life with Lulu and Pop. And hashtag This Happened. And hashtag Married Life with Lulu and Pop, we talk about life things. And then in hashtag This Happened, we talk about things that has happened in the world that has either bothered us, interest us, or just generally, you know...
Affected us
in some type of way.
Yeah.
So, with hashtag Married Life with Lulu and Pop, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say, I didn't want to die in Denver. And I almost died in Denver. So, I flew out to Denver, Colorado on a work trip. And you know what I learned a lot about?
What?
Air. Learned a lot about air.
And what type of things did you learn?
I learned that Philadelphia is 39 feet above sea level. So our air is consistent with that of sea level. That's interesting stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then I learned that Denver, Colorado is, I want to say, 4,900 feet above sea level.
So Denver, no pun intended, is a much higher city.
You're definitely living mile high in Denver. With that being said, so like, okay, so they're that high, right? Okay. Philly's 39 feet.
Yeah, that's like...
Philly's not even 40 feet.
6.
I don't know what 40 feet is. Is that like 2 stories?
Well, I'm trying to think. You're 6 feet.
Yeah.
So that's... What's
less
40?
than 10 of me.
Yes. Less than 10 marks.
Like 6.5 marks. It's not that high. You know, I think you can fall 40 feet and survive depending on what's going on with your life.
What you falling on?
Yeah, like if you're falling in like, you know what I mean? Like some water or something, you can be good. 4,900 feet of anything, you're not surviving that. That's like a whole ass, like, mile or two. I don't even know how many feet is in a mile. I'm actually going to Google that to see how many feet is in a mile. Do you know?
That is not a fact I know.
Why not?
I was not really interested in it.
Okay, so there's 5,280 feet and 1 mile. So we're just under a mile above sea level with Denver. So this is what happened. We flew into Denver and I am doing A-OK.
Yep.
Not that difficult. I'm enjoying some of the festives in Denver. It's a good time. We go up to a place called Breckenridge. Breckenridge is a whopping 9,600 feet above sea level.
So that's almost 2 miles.
That's also 4,000 feet higher than Denver. That's also 9,000 feet higher than Philadelphia, even if we're rounding completely up. It got bad for me up there. The air was thin, moving was hard. I got a cold, and the cold turned into the flu. And the flu brought in pneumonia. And the pneumonia came with a little bit of sippus. And I was hospitalized for 3 days. And was it like Saint something's charter?
Yeah, I haven't. You sent it to me.
Yeah. And I got like the full works.
Yeah.
Like when I say the full works, I mean the full works. The IV, they tried to give me a catheter, which was like,
The
that's
scariest.
extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wheelchaired everywhere I went. I couldn't go to the bathroom on my own. They had to like call in a lady. I had the machines hooked up to me, all the little doodads and the little stickies, and a blood pressure thing checking my blood pressure every hour. I was in there for 3 days.
Yep.
2 nights, 3 days. I will say this. Their chocolate brownie parfait was the shit.
From what I saw from our FaceTime,
Yes.
it was one of the nicest hospitals I've ever seen.
Everyone in there was really nice. Shout out to all the nurses that really took care of me. Shout out to the one nurse who tried to take care of me, but you just weren't very good at it. I think on like levels of nursing, she was fine. But because all the other nurses were like miles ahead of her, she was kind of shitty.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if you suck in professional league, when you go to amateur league, you're like amazing.
Okay.
Like she wasn't an amazing amateur. But in the pros, she was at the bottom of the barrel. She kept forgetting me and shit.
Oh.
It was just like annoying, you know? And she kind of smelled weird a little bit. I'm not sure if that was like her or because I kept smelling weird shit for a couple of days. I'm not sure if my weird shit was triggered by her or if she actually smelled
a little off.
She smelled like cat food.
Ooh.
Which is like, it's kind of like a weird smell. It might have been her scrubs. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe she got some fluids on her. I mean, nurses be going through some shit.
Sure do.
But yeah, shout out to FaceTime.
Shout out to FaceTime.
Because we were able to watch the second half of the Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 movie. I ordered my dinner. You cooked dinner. And then we watched RuPaul's Drag Race together, episode 1. Drag Race All-Stars that just aired. And we did it all through FaceTime, and it was great because it felt like you were there.
It made it a little bit better because it really fucking sucked.
Yeah.
That I couldn't be there. But FaceTime is awesome in that way that, you know, I just had you set up next to me on the couch, and you dropped me a couple times, but I was, for the most part, up on the bed with you.
I mean, I was in a hospital, so I don't think I should be held responsible for that.
No.
That's what you get for putting your faith in my strength when I'm, like, attached to IVs.
Yeah, you were attached to everything.
Yeah. Sleeping sucked. But, yo, shout out the perks. Every time they would try to offer me drugs, I was just trying to mentally calculate how much that drug costs and how much it's going to cost me when I leave.
Yep.
Like, I was in good health enough to know that I wasn't going to die in Denver. But I was also... So that gave me the opportunity to think about how high this bill is going to be when I get out. I'm expecting at least $1,000. After my insurance kicks in, I expect at least $1,000.
Luckily, like, you have insurance, and it's not terrible insurance.
Right.
So...
Without insurance, I don't think they would have kept me that long.
If they did, you would have come out with, like, a $15,000 bill.
I think they would have kept me for way less time. I think that they would have got rid of me quicker because they were trying to hold me for longer. If I didn't have that flight, I would have been in there for another day and a half, maybe 2 days. You know? So that was that. I lived. I flew back. And I can tell you the difference in going from Breckenridge to Denver, breathing-wise, was amazing.
That makes sense now because I didn't realize it was a full, like, 5,000 feet, whatever difference. That's a big ass difference.
And then coming back from Denver to Philadelphia was even better. You know, so I'm on the mend. Is that the right term? Yep. You know, I'm doing well. I'm taking my meds. You know, and I just got a wicked cough that you sometimes hear in my podcast. The amazing thing is that I was able to record the voiceovers for our new podcast. If you haven't listened to it, you should totally listen to it.
God, I know,
Eat the Right Thing.
It's fantastic.
It's interesting. And I didn't sound completely horrible the whole time. I didn't sound like I had a nose full of tissues. You know, so there we go.
We did get those. Shout out to the aloe coated tissues we got for you.
Yeah, I'm into those. That's actually good stuff. So, yeah, that's my little bit of married life.
Yeah, married life / sick life.
Well, it's all part of married life
It
because,
is.
I mean, all of my life is married life now, so.
Oh.
There we go. Oh, dang, my phone's at 4%.
Oh, you need the...
Nah, I'll be fine. We'll be all right.
Okay.
We will survive.
Okay, so after Mark got back, we had a week where he rested, and I nursed him. I would say I nursed you a little bit back to health.
Yeah, I say so.
You were souped and teed out. What's she looking for? You want the charger?
No, I'm checking levels.
I'm sorry. Can't see it from here. So after that, we'd already planned actually once before we had to cancel it, a Spaces potluck.
Yeah.
Which was the first time I had seen people in a while because it's winter. And I always tell people, you need to hang out with me in the fall time because you won't see me once winter comes because I'll leave the fucking house. Like, I go to work and then I come straight home.
Right.
And I feel like most people live their lives like that.
Yeah.
In the wintertime in Philadelphia.
Yeah. I think, like, most places that have winter, like real winter, not like bullshit, oh, it's like 50 degrees. We're talking like it's 10 degrees out,
it's ice raining.
I think anything below 20 is just like unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Like at that point, like who are like why are we here?
Oh God, I hate it. Anywho, so we had a potluck that went pretty well.
Yeah. We
cooked some vegan and real quesadilla. I don't want to say real, that sounds out. Vegan and dairy.
Yeah, you were going to just make vegan quesadillas, and I was like, I think we should make regular quesadillas too, because I feel like if we don't tell them that they're vegan, that's one thing, but our vegan friends wouldn't have eaten them.
Yeah.
So that's why. And then when certain people hear it's like vegan and they see cheese, it already kind of like messes them up.
What's funny is everyone ate. People, like before I could point it out, people that didn't have any preferences were eating them. And I was like, oh, that's the vegan ones. And they were like, oh.
It's pretty tasty.
Couldn't tell.
Yep.
So they got tore up. But, so we had a potluck. We all hung out. My dear sweet husband made a PowerPoint, which I've never seen at a PowerPoint or a potluck ever.
Well, it wasn't a potluck. It was only a potluck just for like gathering purposes. Yeah. It was really just like a business meeting to help flesh out the year. Like that's what it was always about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought your PowerPoint was very nice. I was really proud of you.
Thank you.
We also found out you can, what was that? How would you stream from your phone to the TV?
Yeah, you can mirror your phone to your TV, but a lot of people do that with better results. Because we don't have a Chromecast, if we had a Google Chrome, we could easily attach our phones to the TV and like stream. Excuse me. Whatever. Good God, I'm dying. I don't want to die in Denver, but I'll die in East Falls.
No.
Let me get a drink here. Excuse me. And we can easily like stream things like that. So that's cool. The main problem overcoming was we have a Fire Stick, which isn't exactly as stream friendly. Mm-hmm. And our Samsung would have worked, our actual TV, because we have a smart TV, but we don't know where the remote is. We've lost that remote at least a year ago.
If anyone out there has seen our remote, can you please send it back to us?
It's probably in the couch. We should probably break that couch before we move.
I wanted to give it away, but...
To who?
Whoever. I want to have like a come take our shit sale. Just take it. I guess at that point it's not a sale. It's just like, what do you want? Do you want this?
Yeah, we just got to make sure that we organize it better, because like when we gave away the bags, I gave away bags that we wanted to keep.
Yeah, I'll be more in control of it.
Nah, we just got to make it clear.
Maybe we'll put notes on things.
Yeah, just make it clear, like, this pile is the safe pile. And let's put the safe pile somewhere else.
In a separate room.
And then this pile is the take pile, and then we can put the take pile wherever the take pile goes. And I think that's would be better, because it's like, if we have two, we just got to make sure that we just, separate it up. But even still, we should probably rip the couch apart just to try to find the remote, because it's not like we take our TV out into the streets. So I don't know why we would have a remote issue.
Yeah. True.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I was going to say something. I don't remember what it was.
I can't help you with that one.
I had a thought. Yeah, so shout out to everyone that came to the Spaces potluck presentation.
Sure.
Shout out to Selena and Kelly for showing up mad early to just, like, end up hanging out.
Yeah, they were going to record, but things just got I think things just got away from them. It's just the winter time. Like, in the winter, things just take you by storm.
It's funny because, like Selena kept apologizing, and, like, I'm like, we get it. It's winter, too. Like, it's so tough to leave the house.
Right.
And just, like, be a human being.
Yeah. I agree.
So that was that.
I made a really good Spanish rice.
You sure did.
Yeah.
It was really fucking good.
It was my first time doing it. And I followed 2 recipes and I just merged them together. And I didn't know that, you could cook rice in a skillet without water.
I didn't know that either. I was a little nervous about that.
I mean, it wasn't for very long, but, like, it actually happened, which is kind of cool. And B, I didn't know that you could, like, cook rice with things that wasn't water.
Yeah.
It makes sense now, but, like, adding... Like, I've always cooked rice and then added it to things.
Yeah.
I've never tried to take the thing I was going to add the rice to and use that to cook the rice. Mm-hmm.
I am the worst. I'm so sorry. I just ruined everything.
No, you're fine.
I ruined it.
We're good. Yeah, so that was cool. I really enjoyed making... God damn it. I am so dying right now. But yeah, so I think I'm going to try to, like, make some more Spanish rice. And, like, after, like, talking to Chima and Gloria from the Both Sides podcast, also a great podcast on the Spaces Production Network, making jollof sounds a lot like making Spanish rice.
Yeah.
And they kept talking about that stew. And once we figured out what stew was, like, when they would say stew, it's the same way that Italian people say gravy.
Yeah, because I think in our head, well, I know in my head, when I hear stew, I think of, like, a beef stew.
I think of, like, chunks of potato.
Yep.
I don't really necessarily think of tomato, but I think of, like, a broth. I think of, like, chopped vegetables.
Yeah, a hearty.
And a meat, if you got it, preferably, like, a red meat.
Yep.
Like, I don't ever think of stew and only time I think of chicken is if you're just, like, an alternative dude.
Yeah. At that point, it's a chicken noodle soup.
Yeah. And then, like, a bean something if you're, like, vegan or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like a kale bean stew.
Yeah, but I think my initial thought when it comes to stew is immediately beef stew. 100%. So I think that's kind of cool how those 2 recipes kind of gel up.
Yeah.
And it makes me just want to, like, try some different stuff. Like, I wonder how fancy can I get with my Spanish rice.
Ooh.
Or can I make jollof? You know, like, if you do it with different things, like, there's so many different levels you can go. Like, Spanish couscous. It's kind of the same process.
True.
So why wouldn't it work that way?
True.
Plus, if you use the couscous pearls and not, like, the couscous grits. Because the pearls is way different than the grits. Mm-hmm. I don't like the grits couscous so much. I do and I don't. It's kind of just weird. Like, you can't eat it with a fork. It has to be paired with the right thing. You can't just have, like,
with, like,
chicken and then, like, a side of...
I need it in something, like with a salad or a vegetable, something to, like...
Something to help it stick to it, so when you eat it, you're not just, like, shoveling giant grains of couscous. Well, like, tiny ones, tiny big grains of couscous, because it's bigger than grits. Mm-hmm. But it's, like, smaller than rice. Like, it's kind of weirdly in between. It's like sand.
Anytime you compare food to sand, I'm like, I don't want to try it. Like, oh yeah, it's sand-like. No.
Yeah, I guess it's a bad comparison. But I don't really like that form of couscous,
no,
generally.
you don't fuck with it. Mm-mm.
I would, if I had to choose, I would choose the pearls. So yeah, cool. I'm glad you had a good time at the potluck.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of good times.
Yes.
In our hashtag this happened. So I feel like we had to talk about this or touch upon this.
Right.
Because we live in Philadelphia.
Yes.
If you are at all, and if you watch the news or anything, if you don't follow sports, like, I'm not a sports person at all. But this was a pretty big fucking deal. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Holy shit.
Yeah. I gotta say that I didn't think they were going to win.
No.
I always think Philly's going to shit the bed.
I really had no expectations. I was like, and like,
Right.
again, I don't really fuck with sports at all, but I knew I didn't like the Patriots.
The Patriots just seems like very much like a MAGA team.
They do, and even though they're from, like, New England...
Which to me seems like a very, like, blue-collared, I don't really fuck with black people town to me.
See, but I also associate them with, like, Vermont and, like, places that are more liberal.
I think they're just like Boston.
Oh.
Like,
Okay.
Boston and New England are, like, almost the same damn place to me.
Because in my head, I was like, it doesn't make sense. But I guess also Tom Brady ruined it for me because I was like, I heard that motherfucker was, like, super into Trump, and I was like, all of them are racist. It was just kind of like,
Yeah.
can we please beat this racist Republican team? That's what it came down to me. Like, I made this up, I know, partly in my head.
No, it's actual, like, a real sentiment. Like, a lot of people were feeling that way. They felt like the Patriots were, like, the Republicans. They were, like, the people who, like, hide behind the walls of the purge. They break the rules to win.
Yes.
Like, they have this quarterback who's, like, amazing, but he's kind of a dick and an asshole. And, yeah, he's talented, but at the same time, you want this fucker to lose.
Because who was saying, was it your dad? Someone was saying, or I don't remember who it was. Someone was talking about how he takes all his team on a plane and flies them to, like, his one house to have them train for him. It was something like some bullshit where he takes them all to, like, train super intensively for a whole month. And I'm like, most people don't have that luxury. That's not something normal. You know what I mean? Even for NFL players, that's not.
Tom Brady is a legend, though. Like, he will go down.
Yeah.
He will probably go down in the history books as being the greatest quarterback. Probably better than Joe Montana and Joe Namath.
He's a name that I like, that any people that don't watch football know.
Right.
Like, I know his name.
He's also the epitome of what I would like to call, like bro-y white America.
Yes.
Like, he has the quarterback looking. He has, like, a model wife. He is the quarterback jock. Like, he is the ultimate, like, poster child for, like, make America great again in a way.
Did you see what she told her fucking kids when they were all upset that their dad lost the Super Bowl?
We're rich.
Her way to console them was still a backhanded, like she wasn't even telling her kids the true shit. Mm-hmm. She told them, sometimes you have to let other people win. Daddy's won 5 times. You have to let other people win sometimes. So basically she was telling her kids that, like, the dad let them win.
Yeah, he let them win because he fucking lost.
I was like, that's such a backhanded compliment. Like, you know what I mean? That's like someone being like, oh, you have a pretty face. You know, it's
For a fat girl.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like the first thing I can think of is you got a pretty face for a fat girl.
Mm-hmm. Anytime anyone says something like, oh, she has such a pretty face, I'm always like, just the face?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've said that before, and a person did just have a really pretty face. Like when we were watching America's Next Top Model, and they shaved that girl's hair off.
Yeah.
And I was like, she has such a pretty face.
Yeah.
That I think she could wear this hairstyle.
But to be a bald girl, you have to have, I mean, anyone, to pull it off,
Right.
you have to have a really pretty face.
I think you either have to have a pretty face or just like an amazing amount of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
One or the other. Like, I don't think you could be like bald and then unsure.
Yeah.
You either got to be like, I'm a bald bitch and I'm running the streets, or you got hair. Like, figure that shit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with that being said, he lost drastically. Philadelphia fucking lost their mind.
We sure did.
And they just like tore into the streets. And you found this great article of all the things that Philadelphia did that was outrageous.
First of all, I think it's hysterical that people just listen to police scanners for fun.
Yeah.
That's some old man shit.
Yeah, I remember I've been to houses where they're just on. Like, I think it was like an older generation thing, but a lot of times the police scanner would just be, like, I would walk into a house and I would just hear the police scanner on. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh. I mean, all right, cool. And then you just hear, like, and then you would just hear people saying shit.
So, yeah, I found this article that's the 7 most insane things heard on the Philadelphia police scanner after the Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
So, number one's not that great. there were fireworks.
That's like, let's just cipher through this because we don't need, like,
number 2.
A lot of this is stupid.
Yeah, number 2 was pretty good.
Yeah.
Someone lit a Christmas tree on fire, and it came at 11:25 p.m.
Uh-huh.
I need to get my fire extinguisher out of my truck, an officer announced over the police scanner. I got a fire on Broad Street, just south. Someone lit a Christmas tree on fire.
Right. I think that's great. I also think it's great that they climbed the gates to City Hall.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
With a keg.
That's beautiful. That is Philly.
That is very Philly. Like, Philly is a lot like Boston, except for we have more black people. Yes. I think that's what it, like, really boils down to. They flipped over a car.
Okay. So, if anyone knows anything about Philadelphia, you know not to have your car in the fucking city on the night of the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah.
Like, I'm not blaming this poor girl.
How you know it's a girl?
Because someone started to fucking GoFundMe for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like...
I mean, that's kind of a good reason to start a GoFundMe.
I know, but I'm like, why did you park on, like... This is in front of the Bellevue. Like, I
don't know who this girl is, and if we can find that GoFundMe, I would love to just Google her name to see what she looks like. Because in my mind, she's probably one of those girls who was just like, tonight's the Super Bowl?
What? My car should be fine.
Is that why everyone was buying all the alcohol? I didn't know what was going on. I just thought it was like a really good sell. Like, she seems like the type of chick who would be like...
So like her boyfriend's like, Jenny, where'd you park the car?
Yeah, and then she'll be like, what? Like, oh, I didn't know. And then she would come out and be like, this is crazy. Why'd they flip my car over? No one even cares about the Eagles. Like, obviously, someone cares about the Eagles. If you can find that GoFundMe, that would be great.
I'll go on a search. But yeah, we flipped a car. We didn't set it on fire, though.
We did set fires.
We did, but not to cars.
I mean, cool.
We set the Christmas tree on fire.
There's other fires, too, besides the Christmas tree.
There sure is. So, yeah, there was... Oh, look at this is a great picture. We'll have to post this article. These dudes drinking beers on top of the AC Moore sign.
They actually broke that sign. Oh, wait, the AC Moore? Oh, yeah, that's crazy. So, yeah, people were just climbing things and then breaking it on top of it, but not really thinking about how to get down. They just were like, fuck it, we're up here, we're going to break this and deal with it later because go Eagles. So that's great. People also broke the sign for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Mm-hmm. And it's not in this article, but they also destroyed the Macy's storefront.
That's fucked up. And
they completely like raided and like looted a Sunoco.
That shit's not cool.
Or as I like to call them, Sunco.
You got me saying that too now. Whenever I see it, I see Sunco.
Sunco!
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Used to be a video store back in the day. Suncoast videos. Oh. The 90s were fun.
Yeah.
The 90s, early 2000s. That was fun. It was simpler times. The scariest thing was Y2K. That shit was scary. My mom had all the water in the basement. All right, so that was Lauren's This Happened. And my This Happened is not as dramatic, but I feel like even more dramatic. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't involve a riot of people. It involves just an old man who just doesn't give a shit. And I just want to say, oh, wait, actually, before I move on, I just want to double back onto the Super Bowl topic for 1 second. And I just want to point out the hypocrisy of America, that the fact that when African Americans are taken to the streets and protests and not necessarily looting and destroying things because cops want to kill people or people want to kill people and they don't get any justice. That's why Black Lives Matter is a movement and a statement that means our lives don't matter. It doesn't mean like our lives are the only lives that matter, you fucking hypocrites. You guys want to act like, oh, we're being thugs, we're being gangsters and X, Y, and Z, and everyone has all these thought-provocative rants and stories, and they want to, like, point to that. But when a fucking team wins a Super Bowl and the city decides to destroy itself, then all of a sudden it is just sports.
It's a pass. They got a pass.
It's fine. It's cool. Like, we just won a game. One game. All those motherfuckers are coming home. Everyone's life is going to continue to do what they want to do. There was no injustice or disjustice. It was just a fucking competition. You're allowed to burn the city to the ground and destroy it, and it's just okay. But the minute you want to protest for the fact that someone is like no longer with us and that person's not getting justice, then all of a sudden you're a criminal. So shout out to America for once again showing us what Black Lives Matter mean and the hypocrisy of it all. Moving on. We're going to talk about a man who just does not give a fuck. He just don't give a fuck. And I just can't wait to be an old, like, senior citizen? No, it's like a term for when you're older and you're kind of mean. Surly? Oh, surly. Okay. I can't wait to be an old, surly man and just be an asshole. Not to say that Quincy Jones is an asshole, but he says some asshole-ish things.
Quincy Jones don't give a fuck.
That I think is fucking hilarious. And I just want to go over a few of these things that I think are like the creme de la creme. First of all, he talks, I'm not even going to talk about this one. He talks about the one time that Prince tried to run over Michael Jackson with a limousine. I love it. I think it's 100% accurate. I can see, like, I feel like Purple Rain was an autobiography. I think Prince might have just been like, he might have smacked a woman or two, but at the same time, it's like Prince. And he just gets passionate. And it's just kind of like, he has a very feminine energy. So I don't think if they looked at it as if like Michael Clark Duncan was smacking chicks around, you know what I mean? Or like Terry Crews was smacking people around, only because he was so tiny. He was so 5'3"? Beloved. He's such a little man, and he's like smacking her with a blouse and some heels on. True. He's like pretty much wearing her belt.
It was like me slapping me.
Yeah. So I feel like the idea of Prince trying to run Michael Jackson over with a limousine is very realistic.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Prince low-key probably hated Michael Jackson in some type of way until he realized that they're both prisoners.
Yeah.
Prince just, he outlasted him. I've already heard this story, but Michael Jackson's chimpanzee Bubbles bit Rashida Jones. She talks about that story. I actually heard her.
That sounds scarring. Chimpanzees are no fucking joke.
Yeah. Apparently he hated the Beatles when he first met them, and he thought that they were shit musicians. He also thought that Elvis Presley couldn't sing and Marilyn Monroe had a chest like a pear. What does that mean? Does that mean her titties were long?
He's saying her boobs looked like pears. I'm guessing. Had a chest like pears. So I think he meant... I guess maybe they were like round and then went to like the pear shaped. But like...
So do you think she had like puffy nipples?
I don't know, because we saw...
Or they were just like
everyone's
long?
seen her boobs. No one's ever...
I've never seen her boobs.
She was in Playboy.
Oh... Maybe I should Google that. Maybe.
She was the first Playboy model.
Right. That's gross.
And she had nothing to do with that picture being put in there.
That's what I mean by that's gross. He actually stole that picture. And because she took that picture back when she was still Norma Jean. Yep. What I was saying was gross was I was reading a part of this article where Quincy Jones dated Ivanka Trump. And she would have been 24 and he would have been 76, which isn't necessarily the biggest age gap that I've seen in a relationship, but is definitely like some rich nigga shit. And that's really gross. He said that Richard Pryor also had a sexual relationship with Marlon Brando.
Apparently Marlon Brando had a lot of relationships with a lot of people.
I want to say that Marlon Brando probably will not be recognized for this, but he probably was a pioneer in like the sexual spectrum. And to him, a hole's a hole, and he's just looking for a warm place to cuddle up for the night. And anyone that can do it was just satisfying him. So shout out to that. Did you see any of these that you thought were kind of interesting?
Just so much. If whoever's listening, read the full article.
He did 2 articles. He did one with Vulture and then one with GQ, and they're both equally wild. Even like his actual quotes are hilarious.
Yeah, he is hysterical.
Like he just talks shit.
He talks about how he bought dope off of Malcolm X.
Yeah, that one kind of hurts a little bit. Only because it's like, we all know Malcolm X had a not a great life before jail. And I guess it's great to recognize Cincinnati Red. That was Malcolm X's name before he was Malcolm X, when he was running the streets with a perm hair and apparently a white woman and Spike Lee by his side. Like, his name was Cincinnati Red before he found Islam in prison. And I always, as I've gotten older, when I was younger, I used to, this is way off subject, but it could be off subject. When I was younger, I used to hate Martin Luther King. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just like, I felt like there were so many other civil rights activists, and everyone was just everyone in my school, everyone that was like in the media, they were trying to shove Martin Luther King's turn the cheek message down our throat. And that shit pissed me off. It made me so angry. And then like seeing the picture of Malcolm X looking through the window with like the Uzi, I was like, yo, well, actually, I think he had an M16 of some sort, like an assault rifle. And after I was learning about Huey P. Newton and the Black Panther movement, I was like, those guys seem to be doing more along the lines of actually trying to help Black people. But when I got older and I actually started doing my own research and learning of Martin Luther King, his ideas were just as radical as everyone else's. His delivery was different.
Yeah.
And especially toward the end of his days on this earth, he was definitely speaking a different message. And realistically, like, my teachers and shit, they always made it sound like when Martin Luther King was here, everyone loved him. Like, all the white people was like, that's how you protest. But realistically, they hated Martin Luther King just as much as they hated Malcolm X and every other, person fighting for civil rights. Like, they didn't bump with none of them niggas. And that's what it really boils down to. And that just makes me upset. So, sorry, don't mind that. That just took me off on a tangent.
That's fine, baby. You gotta let it out.
It's Black History Month.
It is. Also, that just made me circle back to the Super Bowl. We didn't really watch the commercials all that much because we were at a Super Bowl party. There was a lot of drinking and eating and talking happening. Yeah. But there was a commercial where, was it Ford?
Yeah, Ford took MLK and was like,
trying to sell fucking cars with it.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
Didn't go over well.
Who were they trying to sell cars to? Black people? Black people don't drive Fords.
I don't know, but it didn't go over well.
I don't think Black people really drive American like that. I don't think that's like our car of choice. I'll never drive a Chrysler again. Them dudes can suck it.
It was Ram.
A Dodge?
Yes.
Even worse.
Yes.
Ain't nobody driving
I had to look it
Ram. Oh, God. I didn't see the commercial. I was actually talking to my mom, and she was like, you should really watch the best commercials. I did see the Tide commercial, but that was about it.
And it's funny because in years past, usually my favorite thing to do is watch the commercials.
Yeah, we were at a party, and it was pretty popping. There was lots of food, lots of drink. It was a good time. It was a good old
Shout
time.
out to us getting up and going to work the next day.
Yo, shout out to me going
sucks.
to work. That's when I ate that chicken biscuit. Well, that biscuit in general.
Okay.
Was to help absorb the alcohol from the day previous, because I was like, I remember from my younger hangover days that if you put carbohydrates in your body with like electrolytes, it helps absorb that shit and it sucks it up. And so that's my excuse.
That's fine.
Great. So that wraps it up for us for this episode of Lulu and Pop. Thank you so much for listening to us rant and rave for a good 45 to 50 minutes. And yeah, tune in next week when we'll be doing it all over again.
We sure will.
Because we love you.
Oh, you know what next weekend is? It's the holiest of weekends.
It's like Black Passover. That's right? Like Passover.
Yeah.
It's like a couple day event.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it starts on a Thursday, and for me, it doesn't end till like Sunday.
I feel like for you, it ends at question mark. Like I don't know when it's gonna end, depending on how much you like this movie.
Yeah, I might try to see it as often as possible.
Yep, you'll be like, who else wants to go see this with me? Next week.
That does it for us. Before we go, I just want to say that Netflix surprisingly bought a movie called The Cloverfield Paradox. It's connected to the other Cloverfield movies in the movie franchise. Cloverfield, which you should watch. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which you should also watch. And The Cloverfield Paradox, you should watch because A, it's free, and B, it is definitely not as bad as everyone says it is. I will say this, it is not scary.
No.
It's more of a thriller than it is a horror film.
There was some like gross parts, but it wasn't like scary.
Yeah. And I will say for people who I thought it was a horror film.
Yes.
Like the trailer makes it feel like a horror film. Remove the horror film aspect of it. Go check it out on Netflix. You know you got someone's Netflix password, so go in there and do it.
Sure
Stop
do.
acting like that. And check it out and enjoy it. And with that being said, go see Black Panther next week. Don't you fucking bootleg it. Don't no one fucking bootleg it. Go see it. We love y'all. Lauren, say goodbye.
Goodbye.